A lot of patients with diabetes go through their lives without any complications, but there's a group that will have problems with their feet. And so what we want to do is that patients know what to look out for, know where to come should they have a problem, and so we can catch things early rather than leaving it late.
If you have any sort of increased redness in your foot, weeping, swelling, pain, these typical signs or symptoms would normally give you an indication that something's going wrong with your foot.
Mr. John came along a week ago to see me, and he had an ulceration on his left second toe. Unfortunately, the ulceration was quite deep. So this is post-operatively now, where he's had the toe removed.
I had the operation at 9:20, and I was back in the house by 11:30. There was no pain when I had it done.
That's the problem. You don't feel anything. They don't feel any pain with the feet, and they don't know they've got a problem. So you've really got to keep an eye on these feet now, okay?
The way I found out I had neuropathy, I can't feel a thing in the foot. I come in from outside, took my shoe off, and Celia said, "What's the blood?" It was a nail straight through. In about that far it was.
Yeah, and he couldn't even feel it.
I couldn't even feel it. Yeah, serious, yeah.
It just comes on too slowly. It's very slow, and then no feeling at all in my feet. That's the fourth one she's taken off for me. She got enough to make a necklace.
Yes, no more. The skin has been rubbed off, and they've got a little sore there or a wound there, and they think, oh, it's nothing much. It'll just heal up itself, but then an infection can set in, and before you know it, the toe is lost really because of the infection.
It's very important if you've got no sensation in your feet that actually you wear a sock before you put a shoe on.
Where's your socks? You should always wear socks with your shoes. You've got a rub under here too. These are prime areas that can ulcerate quite quickly if they don't get help.
We're just checking the wound today because obviously sometimes when there's been infection it can be an issue. The wound's been a little bit wet, but otherwise it looks good. We'd already taken a couple of toes off before, as Mr. John's already said.
Old friends, aren't we?
Yeah. If we can spot things early and we take preventative treatment and take care, reduce the pressure, then hopefully we don't need to be doing any of this.
If you haven't got any sensation in your feet, it's really important that you check your feet every day. Put your hand inside your shoes, make sure there's no foreign objects in there, there's no creases in the lining, there's no defects in the insole. And you really need to wear socks or, for ladies, some tights with your shoes, because your foot against the inside of the shoe might rub and cause a blister, whereas if you've got a sock there, it's the sock that's going to move against the shoe, not your foot. If your eyesight isn't very good, put a mirror on the floor and always look under your foot to check your feet. All right? Wear socks.
I know some people think that, I've got a cut and it won't heal up. You've got to go and have it seen to, or otherwise it'll turn nasty, infection.
You keep it clean.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't go without socks or shoes, otherwise you're in trouble.
Well, the big thing for Mr. Hanover, he had his injury back in 2013. He went on holiday, he had flip-flops on, so he wasn't protecting his feet, which he knew were neuropathic. He has kept a close eye on, and it always presents when there's increased inflammation and swelling, and that's occurred today again. But the infection, which has gone so quickly into the soft tissues, and they feel boggy and very soft, and they're almost leaking through all the areas. We have to hit it hard now with further course of IV antibiotics and potentially surgery too. This is a typical example of a high-risk foot needing urgent attention.
The skin is a great barrier. As soon as you break it down, it's a portal for infection. You get infection and it's not controlled, then it can lead into problems whereby you could end up losing your toe.
From when I had the blister to have my toe off, it was 3 days. So that's how quick it can.
3 days?
3 days. So as soon as you see something, get it checked.
And smoking?
Yeah, I do smoke.
How many a day at the moment?
20.
Okay. So unfortunately, these things kind of make your foot health
Yeah.
worse. And we know that even if you don't have diabetes and you're smoking and we do any surgery, then the healing potential is reduced.
Yeah.
So it's really important to kind of think about that. I'm going to slip your shoes and socks off both sides for me.
I got type 1 diabetes. I've had it since I was 15. I had extra blood vessels growing the back of my eyes and I nearly lost my sight. And they had my toe done. And I get infections really easy because my control's no good. It's very hard and it's like hard to come to terms with. And it does get in the way sometimes, but when it's controlled, life's a lot easier and get less complications, less problems.
And that's not again.
And you've got no one nagging at you.
If we solve the problems very early on, then we can prevent a bigger problem later on.
Basically, it started off as a blister and I paid no attention to it.
He's got an ulcer at the end of his right big toe. So we're going to have a little look and see what we can do.
I thought nothing of it, and then it started flaring up a little bit, and that's where I went to see my practice nurse.
Well, it's good that you've presented early when you've had problems and we've been keeping an eye on things. And it's important that patients do that once they notice that something is different or the foot shape is changing. Mr Thomas has had problems with pain in his foot with some increased temperature. X-rays have looked essentially normal, but we thought that he might have an early Charcot because of the lack of sensation in his feet.
We like to describe it mostly as a broken foot.
I thought initially I had a form of gout, but they found out that I had Charcot.
The X-rays didn't show any changes and we caught it nice and early.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Any little thing, any queries, just give us a ring and we'll arrange to see you, okay?
If it is a Charcot, then we need to immobilise the foot straight away. If we don't do that, then you can end up with a deformed foot, which could cause problems later on in life.
I've had fracturing of the foot because of the Charcot, which is softens. But as the bones have rehardened now, the fracture, I've got like a lump of rehardened bone as opposed to joints and things working correctly. So walking is quite painful, terrific pain, to be honest. So
Patients need to be aware if they feel that their footprint is changing or their shoes are wearing differently. Often they feel that their foot is turning in or they're getting a bulge in the inner part of their foot. And those are the early signs that people often see.
We didn't know that he'd broken a bone. He didn't feel it at all. And then we noticed the foot going out of shape, the bending and things like that.
I was walking around in it for months and I was actually getting pain in my big toe, and the 5th metatarsal outside of the foot was broken. So the pain was transferring to one of the spots where I've got feeling in my foot.
Walking on it will aggravate it even further, and then the foot tends to collapse.
If you don't get pain in your foot normally and you do get pain, it's really important that you go and seek help. Whilst it's in that hot, swollen phase, it's really vital that you keep the foot in a foot shape.
When you cut your toenails, cut them in a shape which is to the shape of the toe, not down the side of the toe.
I used to be a serial toe picker, unfortunately. Instead of cutting my toenails, I was sort of ripping them away. They were starting to bleed, and being a diabetic, they took a lot longer to heal.
You do not go picking down or ripping the skin down the side either, because that will cause much of an ingrown toenail and can lead to an ulceration.
I want you to check regularly that you can feel your feet, and that involves involving somebody else from your family or friends to touch your feet when you're not looking.
We would say to everyone, cream your feet on a regular basis. The symptoms we would be looking for increased redness, swelling, pain, heat, breaks in the skin.
If there's any colour changes, or you're losing the hair on your feet, or it's getting shiny, or the skin's becoming dry and cracked, you need to do something about it.
Any concerns, go and see a healthcare professional straight away.
Prevention's better than cure, yes.